Hello, my name is Yira and me with my partner Julio, we're going to talk about the chapter 6, that is the polarization cycle. Well, this is the part 3 of the book, where the authors represents the expansions of the culture systems. That type of culture generated its an expansion between the 2013 and the 2017. For this reason, the students from the previous graduations, such as 2012, indicate that there was a tendency to an inverted tendency to the team's culture. Students who began their students and elite university in 2013 indicate that this culture arrived in the course of their 4 years of study. So this chapter aims to explain that the current situation of universities is represented by 6 main points. That although the situation of higher education can be understood with these points, but well, it is pertinent to recognize that there are threads to interact to generate the current state of the higher education. Um, However, there are different traits for different people. Because the influence of the university for everyone is different. So, and the influence in the what about the traits is differently of each person on the campus. In this way, the traits that are presented in the part 3 of the book to explain the situation of the universities are political polarization and cross-party animosity. That is like the relationship between the parties and the political relationships. Also, they want to explain about the increasing levels of anxiety and depression in adolescents, the changes in the practice of parenting, the decline of the free play, and the growth of campus bureaucracy. And finally, they want to explain the growing passion for justice in response to national events. In this way, firstly, we are going to talk about the political polarization that is the principal topic of the chapter 6.
Hi everyone, I'm Julio Lopez, and I will talk about the boiling point. Uh, we see American university behaves as a small society, but tend to due to new uh, the new wave of the new political wave, uh, this uh, this such as society or the community of the universities are showing a behavior of angry, violent, and polarized. Up next we are going to see which are the reasons that are compromised with this. Uh, well, but first we have to say that the in the decades previous to the 90s, the 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 society of America was having a historical anomaly. It's a period that is really low political polarization, and this was related also with some of high levels of social trust and a trust of government. But after the 90s, we found a really division in this society. Well, the first reason is that during the this period, the country faced some common challenges and crises, as the Great Depression, some of the wars as the World War II and the Cold War. Uh, these these tend to unite or to close society in an enemy that can tend to threat the general security. But after the collapse of the Union, the Soviet Union, these tend to have intertribal conflicts. In the second reason, we have that people increasingly get into a self-segregating team or a political homogeneous communities. So some areas of the cities have tend to be more divided to the the parties that they belong. As a third reason, we have the new division that the media, the new division strategy that the media gives. And now with the new massive medias, it's too easy to find content that is set to our behaviors and beliefs. And so these tend to look into a self concern information world. Uh, but the problem is that this looked about the other thinking, other behaviors, and so more critical thinking. So and with this contradictory information tend to lead to some confirmation of bias, grifting, and tribalism. As a fourth reason, we have a period of stability in the Congress. Sorry. Now, we in the since 1994, the Congress have a really critical change due to that the Democrats lost the power of the House of Representatives, and the Republicans gained the victory. So Newt Gingrich as the new voice of the Congress imposed uh, some contradictory politics that led to make discord in the Congress. Is before 1994, it was really common that two people of different parties have a relation and a really fair uh, fair approaching. But now uh, after that year, the the Congress was giving a rivalry context into the Congress, and now politicians, these two parties don't see each other as allies in uh, political process. They are more than enemies today.
So now I'm going to talk about the social dynamics where the exclusion of people with different ideologies exert the control and force to maintain their status are constant on the university campuses. To a great extent, it occurs in left movements within universities, but now I'm gonna talk about the the examples of right movement. Well, for this topic, I'm going to extend the example about the Evergreen State College, where as a brief summary, it is presented that it is college since 17th has celebrated the day of absence, where African American students and professors didn't attend the campus to remember the operations suffered by their ancestors. However, with the government of Donald Trump, black students said that they didn't feel safe since white has become a threat, so white people was asked to not attend the college that day. But the professor Brett Winston, who is in the screen, he decided to go to attend the college on the absence day, arguing that he couldn't attend the university for reasons of race. It was a real example of xenophobia. And this act generated a rejection from the students who accused him to being a white supremacist and ignoring his reasons because he was racist. As you can see in this screen, if there was a graffiti where says that Evergreen is a racist. So, also, days after it happened, the protesters who were against the Weinstein's action began to be affected by the white supremacist groups who took their personal data to treating them. And in addition, the students found symbols referring to Nazi ideology and supremacy and white supremacy. Also, they received sexual threats and harassment, and even neo-Nazi groups put up posters on the buildings of the college that express things like Black Lives Don't Matter and Join Your Local Nazis, and also things like Take Your Country Back. Well, in the Colombian context, I consider that this type of things could be related to the reproduction of groups within the neighborhoods with generated campaigns of violence against the Venezuelan citizens. And well, those hate campaigns were based on the rejection of crime, however, they are responsible for the stigmatizing the entire population of from the, well, the majority of population from Venezuela, reproducing hate to that group of population. So I think that these type of campaigns generate the reproduction of the hate and are reproduced by groups that think by xenophobic groups. So I would like you to know if you will propose this type of example related to the topic, and it is possible in the Colombian context and the campuses of universities. Well, uh, for the author proposes the specific cycle of the on the university of this type of actions, where firstly someone do a polemic comment in public, and the second point is a communication role where the media take the history and comment on it, amplifying the outrage. And well, the third part implies that a large number of people find it responded with angry posts and comments. And the fourth point proposes that the university administrations doesn't defend the professor and follows an investigation. And sometimes the professor is not the contract of the professor is not renewed. And but also we can find that the groups are well have a preparation for the repetition of this cycle, and thereby groups of the left and right escalates according to the point of view of each group, and people are prepared to repeat that cycle. So well, I would like to know if you know what actions do you think would contribute to the breaking of the cycle. Well, as a personal opinion, I consider that as a preserved teachers, we have a particularly social responsibilities rooted in our relationship with academic places or spaces. In this way, well, I think that each statement or comment has a relevant importance within the context in which it is provided. So I really consider the ideal of thinking, critical thinking and reasoning is an illusion given by educational conditions that we should have a responsibility with this. Now, maybe partner Julio is gonna to continue with the presentation.
Now I will talk about the threat come to campus. Uh, well, uh, 20 years ago, the hate crime was really controlled compared to today, but since 2015, these hate crimes they are taking up a new advantage. In 2016, the rate have an increase of 5%, and in 2017 have an alarming rate of 20%. But well, let's see some of these hate crimes that are mentioned in text. Uh, I'm a student of the Missouri University of Science and Technology was arrested for it because he posed some of threats of black people that they were having a meeting or a presentation. So he threatened them with shoot to every black people that they could see. Also, we have a massacre of a church in Charleston, South Carolina, in October of 2017, committed by Dylan Roof to black people that was presented there. And also we have the murder of Heather Heyer, that he was hit by a car of last white supremacists during a march of uh, anti-fascism and against the discrimination uh, of race, and also an increase of marginal about the alt-right and neo-Nazis that are really that well they are really related of it is a perception of their increase during the Trump era, and they are attributed to some of the comments that uh, the Donald Trump made against some of immigrant communities and other races. But I think that is the most important thing about our test. And now we have a question. Well, the first one is according to the reason mentioned before, which are the reasons of division that you consider presented in the Colombian contest? And the next one is, do you think social media are cradles of hate crimes? What, why yes or why not? And well, that's it. And thank you very much for listening to us.